So those are some of the things. Let me talk to you about what dominance and influencers have in common. If you draw a line between your D, I, S, and C, like I have here, on this side, on this horizontal axis, dominance and influencers are very future-oriented. They are liking to look at what we can do in the future, what we can make happen. That is very exciting for them, and that's how they make a lot of their decisions about where we can get to. Okay? They are also risk tolerant. They are more risk tolerant than the other personality styles. They also are fast decision makers. They are fast decision makers. So that is what your dominance and influencers have in common. In addition, they're generally extroverted. So you can begin to think about typing someone by observing these things in them. Okay? Dominance and influencers also usually have some pretty big body language and a louder tone of voice, and usually speak more quickly than their counterparts over here on the SC style. Okay? Let's talk for a minute about what's on this side of the horizontal axis that S's and C's share. S's and C's are almost the opposites here. I don't quite want to say introverted, but let's say they are more reserved. Reserved behavior styles. They make their decisions based on historical precedent and historical data. They want to look to the past, most often, to become comfortable about what's worked and would this be a good idea or a good decision to engage. So they have a more historical perspective, mainly because they've got the patience to even pay attention. These and I, shorter attention spans. They have a historical perspective. They, however, are relatively risk averse. Being risk averse, would they be fast decision makers or slow decision makers? They're slower. This has nothing to do with brain power, by the way. It's simply a behavior style of wanting to make sure I have explored every single option and I'm getting it right, or not putting my team or my company, my family or my friends at risk with the decision I might make. Let's take a look at these vertical axes for a second. Influencers and steady relators are people and emotion-oriented. Whereas on the top of your axis, critical thinkers and dominance are very task-oriented. Are you beginning to see how just these few things I described to you can really create tension when one style is trying to communicate with the other style? Okay. So let's talk a little bit about, so influencers, their need-driven behavior is the experience or to have a lot of fun. Influencers have big body language, they talk louder, they usually talk fast, they usually have a pretty high energy level, and if you walk into their office, they will be the person that has a picture of them framed in the bunny costume from the Halloween party, or them skiing, right? They are about having fun, and with people, you will see those types of things. Maybe the Mardi Gras beads are hanging off their lamp. Good chance you might be talking to an influencer, okay? Influencers, by the way, are the most highly social. They like to make decisions in social settings. Lunch is a great idea for them. Maybe not as strong of a motivator for these other personality styles, because influencers are very used to being liked. You do need to appeal to that side of their ego. And they are very concerned about what other people think, because again, they've always been liked a lot. It's natural for them. So those are some things to keep in mind when you're dealing with an influencer. Steady relator. This comprises 45 big percentage of our population have their first behavior style as a steady relator. By the way, there are very few of us who are only one personality style. It's almost an anomaly. It does happen occasionally when someone is so dominated. Most of us are split between two. Some of us are split between three relatively evenly. Okay? Steady relators are loyal, patient, methodical. They're friendly. I would say amiable. Friendly, but more modest and a little bit more reserved than their influencer friends or cousins. If they say they will do it, they will do it. They are great people to have on your team. They are hard workers, very, very concerned, however, their need-driven behavior is for peace and stability. They do not like the boat when it gets rocking, and they definitely don't want to be the one that rocks the boat. Okay? I've told you great things about us. One of the things they do well is lots of mid-level management. They are awesome at keeping a lot of people happy, coordinated. A lot of times you'll find them in helper professions as well. Teachers, nurses are good examples of where you'll see a lot of HR folks, by the way, I find have that. Did I just talk to the two people right here? A lot of times I'll find that they are characterized mostly by this S-style behavior. Great people to have on your team. What do you think under pressure, under stress, happens to the steady relator? Steady relators, because they so want peace and stability, when there is a need to make a change or make a shift, they feel a lot of pressure, it's very difficult for them to make a change. They over-anticipate how much chaos change could cause for themselves, for their organizations, for their families, and sometimes get so focused on how much of a problem that change might cause that they will actually tolerate really a bad situation for far too long. Steady relators just absolutely hate conflict. And so instead of sometimes engaging it when it would be appropriate, they shrink back and become more passive than is really good for their organization or good for them personally. Okay? Can anyone say passive aggressive? You can see this sometimes in this person because they probably won't confront you. But if they are mad, you're not going to see them. As a customer, if they're your customer, you make them upset, they are history and you will never know why. And they won't pick up the phone and tell you why when you call them. They just won't answer that phone. D's and I's, happy to tell you. Happy to tell you. D will tell you, and they're kind of irritable when they tell you. I will